Okay, great. I'm Lauren Lyons from PSFK, and I'm really excited to be here with Josh from the Lowe's Innovation Team. And we're going to be talking to you today about a few different ways of how the Lowe's Innovation Labs team is looking at innovation today amidst all of these changes that are happening. So thanks for joining us, Josh. So just
Yeah, no
kind of
problem.
just jump in and get started. Maybe you could provide everyone with just a quick overview of Lowe's Innovation Labs and its roles within Lowe's retail strategy and initiatives.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks again for having me. And I wish I could welcome everyone into our lab space, but unfortunately, you're stuck in my home right now. So welcome to my home. Again, Josh Shabtai with Lowe's Innovation Labs. We, as you would expect, from the title, we are the innovation center for Lowe's companies, and Fortune 50 home improvement retailer. Our focus is, looking through the lens of exponential and emerging technologies, basically doing two things. One, accelerate our current roadmap, accelerate experiences customers expect. And then on the other hand, how do we develop entirely new capabilities, services, maybe even business models that will deliver radically different experiences well into the future? And this has been a really interesting time on the latter front because effectively a lot of the future capabilities that we are thinking are multiple years, potentially multiple time horizons out, have been accelerated, and customers are more ready for them than ever before. It's changing how we work tremendously. And so I spend a lot of time in the cave that you are here, joining me in.
Nice. So I know with Lowe's Innovation Labs and your team, you guys spend a lot of time designing both for today's customer, but also simultaneously looking to tomorrow's as well. And that seems to be something that retailers are increasingly being challenged to do as well. So, from the Lowe's perspective, how are you seeing customer expectations and behaviors shifting within today's current landscape? And then also beyond today, what are you seeing regarding like long-term consumer behavioral changes?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I guess even just to back up with a slight preamble. So about 2/3 of the products that we sell at Lowe's are non-discretionary purchases. They're related to making your home safe, making it function, making it a place that you and your family can exist in. And so one of the initial challenges, I think, when everything started to change in late February into early March, was we were adapting to the reality of being an essential retailer. And so even before anything, the areas that really kicked into overdrive first and foremost for us was we knew we were going to be open. We knew people were going to be spending a lot more time at home. And we knew a lot of the items that we sell were really important. And so we initially focused on how do we keep that experience as safe as possible. I just want to lay that like groundwork for our associates, for our customers. How do we provide support for our communities who are going to be impacted? We have about 2,200 plus stores throughout North America, and so we are a node in many communities throughout. And then lastly, just in addition to sort of general support for the community, how we help first responders and exercise our supply chain muscles to contribute there. A significant proportion of our customers are pros, and they are business owners. They're not just your do-it-yourselfers. So there's a lot of thought about how do you ensure that those businesses can survive and thrive. There's been a lot of work there. So I just want to give the preamble. This is sort of the situation we found ourselves in. And what happened, in our first quarter, we many days we were seeing e-commerce spikes that outpaced Black Friday sales. Our total sales in Q1 were up 80%. And just for comparison, our online sales the previous quarter were up just about 10%. I mean, it's been this tremendous growth. 14 to 15 categories that we sell against outperformed. The demand and expectations have just been tremendous. As Pierce alluded to. So what's been interesting and what we're seeing short term is obviously customers still need things for their home. They still want to transact, and they want to do it in every way imaginable. They still want to come to the stores. They still want to be online. I think one of the areas that this growth in online and this growth in increased comfort with high touch retail categories being able to be fulfilled online um, is up, and we expect that to continue. And I think when you even look at other industries, grocery and home improvement are two areas that have been historically more resistant to an online shop. And I moved to North Carolina from New York. I was very familiar with Fresh Direct. I was surprised that that was a thing, but I think the rest of the U.S. is starting to catch up and build new habits, right? That's one area we expect to grow significantly. I think this idea of service being delivered through screens and remote paths, I think this is going to hold as people are getting more used to getting telemedicine, teletherapy delivered through Zoom and other places. I think it's completely reasonable to expect that home services, you'll see the same thing. We're also looking at opportunities with everything that's happening in education. Um, and what will continue to happen with education as more virtual and remote options are palatable. Lowe's in the home improvement category is, I would say, think about home improvement as a car. The fuel for that car is expertise, and a lot of that expertise has been historically transmitted from person to person through tribal means. What's interesting is as people look for new economic opportunities in this uncertain environment, and as new virtual platforms, we think there might be new opportunities to deliver education in very complex ways and potentially increase people's participation in the trade skills. I can go on. Sorry, I'm monologuing. We should.
Not at all. This is all really interesting, and I'm just happy to listen. So, I mean, picking up on that with the whole almost post-purchase service that Lowe's is really kind of zeroing in on that expert level of service and added education levels. So as we're looking at all these changes happening in the consumer journey right now, and can you share kind of how Lowe's is adapting in real time really to that? And what are the steps that Lowe's is taking really to meet this new consumer?
Yeah, no problem. So I mentioned about 14 out of 15 merchandising categories outperformed, but there are some that didn't. And overall, the areas that don't are the ones that require someone to come into your home. Kitchen, bath, detailing, remodeling. There's been a reticence on the part of customers to do that. There's also been an increased demand in curbside pickup, right, and minimizing your exposure. So I'll take the latter point first. What's interesting is curbside pickup, offering lockers in our stores. Those were actually roadmap items for 2021 initially, and the moment that this hit, we stood up curbside, and I'm really proud of the broader Lowe's technology team. They stood up curbside pickup and the store operations team in 3 days, and are now making significant advancements within the app to make it easier for customers to surface an awareness of where they are and all those things. I also mentioned, safety for our associates and safety for customers in the brick and mortar environment. We're really big initiatives. Lowe's tech team also stood up an app that was immediately deployed to all of our associates with mobile Zebra devices to enable them to monitor traffic more effectively and start plotting how many customers can be let into a store at the same time, all that kind of stuff. So the curbside, but new buy online pickup and store options are here to stay. Pretty straightforward. On the services side, we think through advanced technologies there are real opportunities to shift a portion of what were traditionally at-home visits to in-store. And so actually one of the projects that my team had been working on for quite some time, and I'm proud to say we launched at scale, is what we call Lowe's Job Site. And the idea here is with customers being less comfortable letting an external contractor, electrician, plumber into their home, how do you enable diagnostic visits? And so working with a great partner out of Portland, Oregon called Stream, a great startup that we've worked with for a couple of years, launched an augmented video chat service that basically no app downloaded lets a pro customer set up a virtual eyes-on visit to a customer's home. And they're able to scan appliances, understand through the serial number what they're looking at. They're able to telegraph using augmented reality elements what they think the problem is, where they want the customer to go, and they can record the entire session to diagnose and decide if a follow-up is worthwhile and move things. And so, that's one of the initiatives, and I would expect more of those things to keep coming out. And I also, it isn't remote services isn't just a response to COVID. I think it takes a lot of the friction out of having to schedule an in-person appointment, be home, so I expect these things to hold over time.
Definitely. And that's a great point to add too. It's like another case for this being a long-standing form of tech that Lowe's can offer. That's just another added element of convenience for their customers. So I think it's great. I know we have a video of this to show. So if we have that queued up, we'll give you guys a little bit more of an idea of how it works really quickly. Okay. So as we wait for this to start, I think another point just to make about this great tool, like you said, how it's just adding another level of convenience. People don't have to, worry about getting into stores, figuring out when they'll be home. But it just seems like such a smart move on Lowe's part in this time where people are really just trapped at home, have all of these DIY projects they want to get to, and definitely brings a barrier to being able to make those a reality for them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's just the beginning of how these. So, for example, new consumer technologies are coming online to make these kinds of experiences more robust. So even looking at what Apple released, consumer grade lidar in their latest iPad Pro enables greater spatial awareness from the point of view of someone who can hold and scan their room. So the yeah, the path for these really rich remote experiences, I think the sky's sort of the limit there.
Totally. Okay, I think we've got the video ready.
We know the way you work has changed. That's why Lowe's is working harder than ever to keep pros working. Like the new Lowe's for Pros job site, powered by Stream. It's designed to help pros like you work even when you aren't on the job. You can guide customers around the work site, sketch to highlight points of interest, capture images, and even automatically detect serial numbers. That means you can reach more customers in more places from wherever you need to be. Lowe's for Pros job site, free to use through October 31st. It's just one more reason Lowe's is the new home for pros.
Okay, perfect. So just a great visual to accompany that perspective that you were able to share on that front. Just moving this forward. So looking at the accelerating role of innovation, and we're really seeing this driven by necessity along with consumers' rapid rate of tech adoption. How are Lowe's innovation labs really evolving as well to deliver during this time of change?
Yeah. So, as I kind of alluded to, in the beginning, while much of what we focus on is on accelerating customer experiences faster through emerging technology, we're also looking at new capabilities. And this world, all the rapid change that we've experienced is just accelerating that tremendously. And the way so the tools we traditionally apply to trying to wrangle a future that's worth investing is around this concept we call narrative-driven innovation, and may be useful for folks out there trying to think about how you frame the future. So, I would say, COVID aside, the rate of change that we have been experiencing in terms of technology and culture is exponential, and trying to anticipate and predict exactly what will happen and how to meet it is impossible for the human mind. Unfortunately, even we like to think we're geniuses. But a tool that we found to be effective, and that we're actually using as much as ever, is framing most desirable futures that will affect our employees, that will affect our customers, that will affect even our shareholders, and framing those in protagonist-driven narratives to help people coalesce around a vision and commit to an testable course of action. That is what's really interesting is now the types of stories. So I'll give you an example. There's a narrative theme that we've pursued that we call the democratization of expertise, and it is all about unlocking this knowledge base that flows through Lowe's on a daily basis, and how do we unlock that through technology to create new economic opportunities and train people. We've told stories about how mixed reality headwear will enable the ability for pros and customers to interact in wildly new ways, to download new skills in real time. What's really interesting is this is hastening some of those far future narratives to basically get us to test more of them in market sooner and develop. I wish I could share with you guys today. It's like such a cop out, but is letting us develop wild new narratives that'll take us deeper into the future.
No, I totally understand having to play some things a little closer to the chest on this, so that's totally okay. I think we have a little bit of time right now. If you're up for it, we had some questions from the audience that I can share with you if you wanted.
Please.
Okay, cool. So this one was from Bill Carrier. So what is Lowe's Pros doing with knowledge management for contractor projects? For example, best practices for specific types of repairs tied to products. So a little bit of like bundling there.
So this could be a whole nother hour. There are, a variety of initiatives underway, to better help, match those kinds of things. What I will say from a Lowe's Innovation Lab standpoint, when I mentioned sort of the democratization of expertise, it's really important to us that we, with the kinds of experiences we're building, we leverage an understanding not only of a given project that is happening in real time, but of other instances in which that has happened, and surface best practices. That is an area we look at with great interest. I would also say, and I can put it in the chat, I don't know if this is a dangerous thing, happy to put my email in there to, take questions beyond this that might, warrant extended follow-up.
Totally. I think everyone would probably appreciate that if you wanted to.
I'll put my phone number for a good time,
Yeah, exactly. Another great question that was asked was, what KPIs is Lowe's using right now for its app, for the Job Site Pros app? And does it go beyond downloads? And are you kind of seeing any increased spend with accounts because of that launch?
So, I'm not at liberty to really go deep into the KPIs. I do want to frame it's not a downloadable application. It really is just a web service that is available to anybody with a web browser. And so we're looking at. Let me talk about it more broadly. When we undertake projects that accelerate customer experiences that they expect today, there's generally more business metrics around how you evaluate that. Are people using a product? How often? How much time are they spending with it? What are they doing on the back? On the other side of the coin, when we're looking at new capabilities, in some cases, we are experimenting technologies that have no appreciable business metrics affiliated with them. And that's an area that we have the privilege of exploring. In those cases, we'll use a variety of research methodologies and KPIs. We've even used neuroscience-based tools where we'll actually look at, based on what's happening in any given user's brain, what is their motivation, where are the areas where cognitive load is rising and motivation is dropping, so we can start to understand, without asking them, like subconsciously, do they really appreciate the value of these experiences and tools? So we look at it pretty broadly.
Definitely. This is another question that could be interesting. If you're not at liberty to talk to about, I totally understand. From Ethan Ark, is the Lowe's Lab innovation team opening to collaborating with startups? Is that something kind of on their radar, or not so much at this time?
Yeah, yes, 100%. There's more than 100%, absolutely. My group, actually, we specialize in being the outside-in lab. So I would welcome, if you see my email in the chat and you have an interesting technology, interesting point of view, please reach out. If you love telling stories and then backing up those stories with actionable deployments, I'd love to hear from you.